Hi, my name's Manus. I'm a volunteer with Lough Neagh Rescue. I volunteer as lifeboat crew and as a swiftwater rescue technician. We're here today at Craigavon Lakes to give a little chat about the dangers associated with going onto the ice. It's very important first to understand that in this part of the world, the ice is very different to, say, other parts of Europe. We very rarely will get the consistent temperatures required to freeze the ice to sufficient depth to make it stable underfoot for humans. The other factor affecting the ice development in this part of the world is that the water is constantly moving, the levels are constantly changing, and what we get developing is the ice will form on the surface and a little air gap develops, more ice can form and another air pocket. As a result, you have several layers of very thin ice which are sandwiched between air pockets, and that makes the ice very unstable. You may look into the ice and think it looks very, very thick, but essentially you'll be looking down through little pockets of air and it's very, very thin sheets of ice. When you walk on it, you think it's stable, but all of a sudden it can give way. As a rescue technician, it's the thing that frightens us the most, because it's a hugely dangerous situation for us to put ourselves in, and it's very, very often ends in fatality for the casualty. What happens when you fall through the ice? 10 to 20% of people automatically go into cardiac arrest. The shock of the cold water is sufficient to tell the brain to stop the heart, and when you go into cardiac arrest, we call it in search and rescue, is the dying process has begun. And unless there is some intervention from an external party or from yourself, you will die. The body then very quickly, once you go through the ice, your natural inclination is to try and scramble yourself back up. But we spoke about the air gap, so very often the ice is a couple of inches above where you are. As you're trying to get back up onto the ice is breaking. Very, very quickly, you will run out of energy and your body will stop moving properly. Cold water will chill your body 25 times quicker than air. So what happens is, you're in the water, you're trying to hold on. Very quickly, your muscles start to contract in your legs and your arms. Your extremities push the hot blood to your trunk and to your brain to keep you alive. It doesn't matter how good a swimmer you are, it doesn't matter how strong you are or how fit you are. This is a physiological reaction which happens every single person, and it happens very, very quickly in cold water. Then the next instance is you're holding on, you lose your grip, and you slip under the water. At that point, my job turns from a rescue to a recovery. And the very best we can hope is that we can return your body to your nearest and dearest. I understand the appeal of going out onto water. It's a novelty, it's something very different, particularly in this country. The ice that we have is very unstable and very different to other parts of the world. And it's important that you educate your children on that, and the fact that it's extremely dangerous. There are a lot of inherent dangers into going on the ice, and the end is not always a rescue. So educate your children, speak to them, let them know the ice freezes from the edge out. The further you go from the shore, the less stable the ice becomes and the more difficult any potential rescue is. So educate your children, tell them and express to them the dangers of going onto the ice. So if you were to go through the ice, you literally have seconds to get yourself up out of it. Failing that, it's a slow demise. What you should do is, practical advice is, turn and face the direction from which you came. If you think about it, the ice was supporting you up to that point. What you should do is put your hands and your forearms on the ice, kick your feet behind you, and try and pull yourself up onto your tummy onto the ice. It's important that if you do get out of the ice, that you do not try and stand up, because that will put the stress back on the ice. It will also cause you probably to faint and you go back into the water. So stay on your stomach, spreading your weight, and on your stomach, bring yourself safely to shore. And whilst at shore, you need to get warm and you need to get dry very, very quickly, because at this stage, the hypothermia process has already begun. We'll see a lot of people out walking with dogs, and dogs, love to stretch their legs, and they see a big flat expanse and they may run onto it. The thing that you cannot do is run onto the ice after a dog. A dog will survive for hours in cold water. They're physiologically designed to survive for a longer period than a human. A dog will 9 out of 10 times, whether it be in open water or on ice, will self-rescue. So the best thing you can do is 999, ask for Coast Guard and give them the details of where the incident has occurred. That same advice applies to anybody you see going onto the ice or going through the ice. There are a few things you can do to try and assist, but you must never walk onto the ice to help them. Think about it. If the ice wouldn't support one person, it's most certainly not going to support two. If you can find a life ring with a rope, throw it to them, try and pull them back in, a branch, a stick, anything you can reach to them, but you must first call 999, ask for Coast Guard, and Coast Guard will apply the correct resources to come and give you assistance. I'm a dad, I have 2 young daughters, and they need me. You're not only endangering my life, but you're endangering your own life. And there is an army of volunteers who, when you call 999 and speak to Coast Guard, they will send the army of volunteers. By far, ice is the most dangerous thing that we will do as search and rescue technicians. My best advice to you is don't go on to the ice. Ice in this country very rarely is at the thickness required to consistently support the weight of a human being. So if you can take one simple point from this, don't put your own life in danger, and certainly don't put our lives in danger.